A pleasant morning, everyone, especially to our beauteous, passionate, hardworking, and very considerate professor, Madam Neresa. Today, we are going to report about the human growth and development stages and dimension. I am your first reporter, to be followed by Ma'am Joy B. Pilapil, and lastly, Ma'am Anita A. Pedeza. By the way, I am Mrs. Josephine R. Sanchez from Lagunoy, Camarines Sur, happily married with 3 kids, and currently teaching at San Rafael Agpo Elementary School. Human stages of growth and development are differentiated by age in key stages or scientifically supported psychomotor development. Psychomotor development is progress in mental and motor skill activity. The process of growing and developing begins on the cellular level even before conception in the womb and continues throughout life until death. The scientific community divides human growth into stages according to age and assesses psychomotor development as a human develops motor skills and reaches cognitive milestones. Most human stages of growth and development occur in infancy, childhood, and adolescence. When you hear the words growth and development, what comes into your mind? What is growth? What is development? Most people use the term growth and development interchangeably and accept them as synonymous. But in reality, the meaning of these two terms are different. Let us define the meaning of these two words. Growth refers to physical increase in some quantity over time. It includes changes in terms of height, weight, body proportion, and general physical appearance. In Encyclopedia Britannica, growth is defined as an increase in size or the amount of an entity. Harlock has defined growth as change in size in proportion, disappearance of old features, and acquisition of new ones. Another meaning of growth. Growth refers to structural and physiological changes, according to Crow in Crow 1962. It means growth involves all those structural and physiological changes that take place within an individual during the process of maturation. For example, growth of a child means the increase in weight, height, and different organs of the child's body. Another meaning is growth is a process that focuses on quantitative improvement. Meaning to say, growth refers to an increase in physical size of whole or any of its part and can be measured. Here are a few examples of human growth. Number 1. During the prenatal period, the small zygote grows into an embryo and eventually into a fetus over time. Another example, during the first 2 years of life, a baby's arm and legs grow longer and grow more muscles. So those are the example of human growth. So meaning, growth is a measurable attribute of your child, such as their height, weight, and larger in appearance. It can also refer to consistent growing and an increase in value. Example, when your child increases in height and weight, then they experiencing a growth process. And take note, it can be measured. Next, development. Development is refers to the qualitative changes in the organism as whole. Then, is defined as growth in psychomotor capacity. Meaning to say, development is a continuous process through which physical, emotional, and intellectual changes occur. It is more wider and comprehensive term than growth. It is possible without growth. In Webster Dictionary, development is defined as the series of changes which an organism undergoes in passing from an embryonic stage to maturity. And according to Encyclopedia Britannica, is the term development defined as the progressive change in size, shape, and function during the life of an organism by which its genetic potential are translated into functioning adult system. Meaning to say, development includes all those psychological changes that take place in the functions and activities of different organs of an organism. According to Skinner, development is continuous and gradual process. And according to Crow, development is concerned with growth as well as those changes in behavior which result from environmental situation. So in other words, it refers to functional changes that are often observed in people's behavior and actions. So development is a term typically used to describe the emergence of a skill or ability that has some sort of practical use, such as language or problem solving, or etc. Let us now Let us now compare the difference between growth and development. Growth, it is a narrow term referring only to the physical growth, while development, it is much broader and comprehensive term referring to all aspects of human personality such as physical, social, mental, emotional, and etc. Growth refers to increase in size, height, weight, length, while development, it refers to overall changes in shape or form or structure. And the growth, it is quantitative in nature and can be measured in terms of meter, gram, etc., which are standard units. While development, it is qualitative in nature, and difficult to measure. Growth stops when maturity is reached, while development it is a continuous and lifelong process or progressive. Growth it is structural in nature, while development is functional in nature, resulting in efficiency and maturity. Growth describes changes in particular aspect of the body, while development describes changes in the organism as a whole. Growth refers to physiological changes, while development refers to overall changes in the individual. It involves changes in an orderly and coherent type towards the goal of maturity. Growth does not continue throughout life, while development continues throughout life. Growth is cellular, while development is organizational. Growth is one part of the developmental process, while development is a wider and comprehensive term. Growth, the changes produced by growth are subject of measurements. They may be quantified and observable in nature. While development brings qualitative changes which are difficult to measure directly, they are assessed through keen observation of behavior in different situations. Growth may or may not bring development, while development is possible without growth. What is human development? Human development is a lifelong process of physical, behavioral, cognitive, and emotional growth and change. Meaning to say, development is a multifaceted process and involves different aspects. One aspect involves biological and physical development. The size and complexity of the human body change dramatically between conception and maturity. Another aspect involves cognitive or intellectual abilities and processes. What children know, learn, and can remember changes greatly as they grow with the time. And another aspect involves social behavior and relationships. A newborn has limited ability to participate in social interactions, but before reaching adulthood, the child forms many relationships and know how to behave appropriately in a variety of social situations. So all the different phases of development are interrelated. Why do we need to study human development? The study of human growth and development offers a wealth of value for personal and professional growth and understanding. So there are many reasons why we need to study human development. First is to gain a better understanding of one's own life experience. Meaning, This can help people personally reach an understanding of what childhood events shape their adulthood. Then, number two, to gain knowledge of how social context impacts developments. So meaning, this knowledge can be invaluable for professionals like us, teachers, as they can gain a deeper understanding of their students. The number three, to help others understand and contextualize the ups and downs of life. This helps therapists and psychologists better aid their client and self-discovery. Next is to understand how societal change can support growth and development. This understanding helps decision makers in school change the educational culture for the better. Then another is to become more effective researcher, teacher, or leader in many different industries. Understanding human development deeply and in context has many professional benefits that can lead to greater insights. The number six, to support the physical and mental health of individuals throughout their lifespan. Professionals like doctors, nurses, and therapists must understand human growth and development to better support their client. Students may choose to study human growth and development because of its array of application across many professional fields. For example, students who want to become an elementary teacher may take course on the stage of human growth and development to understand cognitive development and how children's brain grow and change. In other words, human development is a wide-reaching and ever-changing discipline. A knowledge of human development can be invaluable to people personally as they continue to learn and grow throughout their lives, and professionally as they learn to apply what they have learned. We have four main types of human growth and developments. First is the physical, number two mental, number three emotional, and number four is social. When we say physical, it involves the changes in your height, weight, body proportion, or any changes in your body. Physical growth is related to mental growth. So when we say physical, it is the body growth. When we say mental, this is the development of the mind or the learning development. It helps the child solve the problems or make judgment or etc. So that is the mind development, mental. Another is emotional. So when we say emotional, it deals with emotion and feelings like love, joy, anger, hate, or etc. in an individual. It involves feelings and emotions. Another is social. So social, it is the interaction and relationship with others or other social groups. So those are the four main types of human growth and development: physical, mental, emotional, and social. Next, we have five areas of development. Number one, physical development. Number two, cognitive development. Number three, social development. Number four, emotional development. And number five, moral development. When we say physical development, It includes muscle coordination and control, growth in size and in proportion. Example, a child rolling over, lifting its head, or sitting up. So that is the physical development. Next is the cognitive development. When we say cognitive development, it is the ability of the brain or mind to take in and process information. Example, a child recognizing their name or recognizing a parent, recognizing that when they shake or rattle, it will make a noise. So that is cognitive development. Another is social development. A child learning and discovering the expectation and rules for interacting with others. Example, a child smiling at mother. A child learning to share a toy with a friend. So that is social development. Next, the emotional development. So when we say emotional development, it is the ability to recognize and understand feelings and how to respond to them appropriately. Example, a child feeling jealousy due to a new baby in the family, or a child feeling love for another person, or a child being afraid of the dark. So that is the example of emotional development. Next is the moral development. Identifying personal values, that is moral development. Example, right or wrong, behaving according to what other needs or want, respecting human rights, developing principles to guide behavior. Let's come now to the principles of human growth and development. Developmental psychologists believe that knowledge of an accurate pattern of development is fundamental to an understanding of children. There are several basic principles that characterize the pattern and process of growth and development. These principles describe typical development as a predictable and orderly process, even though there are individual differences in children's personalities, attitudes, behavior, and timing of development. The principle and characteristic of development are universal pattern. There are important principles of human growth and development. Development is continuous. When we say development is continuous, the process of growth and development continues from the conception till the individual reaches maturity. Development of both physical and mental traits continues gradually until these traits reach their maximum growth. It goes on continuously throughout life. Even after maturity has been attained, development does not end, meaning development continues throughout the life of an individual. This process takes place in interaction with the environment in which a person lives. One stage of development is the basic framework for the next stage of development. A child has limited knowledge and experiences about his environment. But as he develops, he acquires more information or knowledge through exploration and adds to the skills already acquired. And the new skills become the basis for further achievement and mastery of skills. For example, the child is able to write and draw, he must have developed a hand to hold a pencil and a crayon. Thus, a person has vast experiences and knowledge as he grows up. Another example in motor development. There is a predictable sequence of development that occur before walking. The infant lifts, and turns the head before he or she can turn over. Infants can move their limbs or their arms and legs before grasping an object. Next is development is sequential. Most psychologists agree that development is sequential or orderly. Every species, whether animal or human, follows a pattern of development peculiar to it. This pattern, in general, is the same for all individuals. The child crawls before he creeps, stands before he walks, and babbles before he talks. Another principle of human growth and development: rate of development varies person to person. There are individual rates of growth and development. Each child is different and the rate at which individual children grow is different. Although the pattern and sequences for growth and development are usually the same for all children, the rates at which individual children reach developmental stages will be different. Understanding this fact of individual differences in rates of development should cause us to be careful about using and relying on age and stage characteristics to describe or label children. There is a range of ages for any developmental task to take place. This dismisses the notion of the average child. Some children will walk at 10 months, while others walk a few months older at 8 months of age. Some children are more active, while others are more passive. This does not mean that the passive child will be less intelligent as an adult. There is no validity to comparing one child's progress with or against another child. Rates of development also are not uniform within an individual child. For example, a child's intellectual development may progress faster than his emotional or social development. Another is development proceeds from general to specific. In motor development, the infant will be able to grasp an object with a whole hand before using only the thumb on forefinger. The infant's first motor movements are very generalized, undirected, and reflexive. Waving arms or kicking before being able to reach or creep toward an object. Growth occurs from large muscle movements to more refined or smaller muscle movement. Another, development depends on maturation and learning. Maturation refers to the sequential characteristic of biological growth and development. The biological changes occur in sequential order and give children new abilities. Changes in the brain and nervous system account largely for maturation. These changes in the brain and nervous system help children to improve in thinking or their cognitive and motor or physical skills. Also, children must mature to a certain point before they can progress to new skills or readiness. For example, a 4-month-old cannot use language because the infant's brain has not matured enough to allow the child to talk. By 2 years old, the brain has developed further, and with help from others, the child will have the capacity to say and understand words. Also, a child can't write or draw until he has developed the motor control to hold a pencil or crayon. Maturational patterns are innate, that is genetically programmed. The child's environment and the learning that occur as a result of the child's experiences largely determine whether the child will reach optimal development. A stimulating environment and varied experiences allow a child to develop to his or her potential. Another is growth and development is a product of both heredity and environment. Both heredity and environment are responsible for human growth and development. Next is development is predictable, meaning human development is predictable during the lifespan. Although this development is influenced by both genetic and environmental factors, however, it takes place in a predefined manner. Specific areas of development, such as different aspects of motor development, emotional behavior, speech, social behavior, concept development, goals, intellectual development, follow predictable pattern. For example, the growth of the child in height and weight continue up to a certain age. In general, it is also found that all children follow a commonality in the development periods of life. All children generally grow following the periods like prenatal period and the postnatal periods. Next is the development proceeds from the head downwards. This is called the cephalocaudal principle. This principle describes the direction of growth and development. According to this principle, the child gains control of the head first, then the arms, and then the legs. Infants develop control of the head and face movements within the first 2 months after birth. In the next few months, they are able to lift themselves up by using their arms. By 6 to 12 months of age, infant starts to gain leg control and may be able to crawl, stand, or walk. Coordination of arms always precedes coordination of legs. So that is the development proceeds from the head downward. Another is development proceeds from the center of the body outward. This is the principle of proximodistal development that also describes the direction of development. This means that the spinal cord develops before outer parts of the body. The child's arms develop before the hands, and the feet develop before the fingers and toes. Finger and toe muscles used in the fine motor dexterity, and the last to develop in physical development. Another is development involved change. The human being is undergoing changes from the moment of conception to the time of death. There are different types of change occur, such as change in size, proportion, disappearance of old feature and acquisition of new features, etc. The goal of these developmental changes is self-realization, which Abraham Maslow has labeled as self-actualization. Each individual is equipped with certain abilities and potentialities at birth. By utilizing the innate or inborn abilities, one tries to realize and strive for self-actualization. or during the total life period. Children's attitude toward change are generally determined by his knowledge about these changes. Social attitudes toward these changes in the way people of society treats the children when these changes takes place. Another is development proceeds from the simple or concrete to the more complex. Children use their cognitive and language skills to reason and solve problems. For example, learning relationships between things or how things are similar or classification is an important ability in cognitive development. The cognitive process of learning how an apple and orange are alike begins with the most simplistic or concrete thought of describing the two. Seeing no relationship, a preschool child will describe the object according to some property of the object, such as color. Such a response would be, an apple is red, or an apple is green, and an orange is orange. The first label of thinking about how objects are alike is to give a description or functional relationship, both concrete thoughts, between the two objects. An apple and orange are round, and an apple and orange are alike because you eat them, are typical responses of 3, 4, and 5 years old. As children develop further in cognitive skills, they are able to understand a higher and more complex relationship between objects and things. That is, that an apple and orange exist in a class called fruit. The child cognitively is then capable of classification. Next is the factors affecting human growth and development. Human development is the process in which the changes occur in all the aspects of an organism from conception to death. It is a natural process for each and every child to grow. But it is observed that all children do not grow in the similar fashion. Some children's physical growth occur earlier than others. Some are physically stronger than others. Some are taller than others, and so on. So far as mental development is concerned, some children have better cognitive ability, memory reasoning, thinking ability, etc. than others. All children also do not have the same type of intelligence. Others also have more linguistic abilities and so on. So children differ from each other because several factors influence on their developments. So there are some important factors affecting human growth and development. Number one is genetic factors. Genetic factors play a primary role in growth and development. Genetic influences the speed and way in which humans develop. Genes can act an additive way or sometimes conflict with one another. For example, a child with one tall parent and one short parent may end up between the two of them at average height. Other times, genes follow a dominant recessive pattern. If one parent has brown hair and the other has red hair, the red hair gene is the dominant gene if their child has red hair. So in other words, genetic factors strongly influences many aspects of the physical appearance of humans such as height, weight, body structure, the color of the eyes, the texture of the hair, and even in the intelligence and aptitude skills. Number two factor is the fetal health. Fetal health has a highly influential role in achieving growth and development. Any stimulus or insult during fetal development causes developmental adaptation that produce permanent changes in the latter part of life. Next is the cultural factor. Cultural refers to a system of belief, attitudes, and value that are transmitted from one generation to the next. It is a product of past human behavior and is also a shape of future aspiration. The development of the child is influenced by family as well as by the society. The child learns the habits, beliefs, attitude, skills, and standard of judgment through the socialization processes. The socialization processes of the child take place according to the culture, custom, and tradition of the society. Another is the socioeconomic factors. Under socioeconomic factors are the family characteristics, the human-made environment, and nutrition. So children of higher socioeconomic classes are taller than the children of the same age and sex in the lower socioeconomic groups. Urbanization has positively influenced growth. The secular trend is observed in growth where the kids grow taller and mature more rapidly than the previous generation. The family characteristics. Higher family education levels have a positive impact on growth. The inadequate emotional support and inadequate developmental stimulus, including language training, might cause growth and development deterioration. Next is the human-made environment. The human-made environment influences human growth and development significantly. There are certain ongoing studies have proven the relationship of pollutant in sexual maturation, obesity, and thyroid function. The excess lead exposure antenally significantly associate with low birth weight. Noise pollution due to transportation sources also has an association with reduced prenatal growth. Nutrition. This may be the most important because it has the most profound impact on children's healthy growth and development. Because we all know that malnutrition plays a detrimental role in the process of growth and development of human or can affect their growth and development in a major way. Deficiencies of trace minerals can affect growth and development. Say for example, iron deficiency usually affects psychomotor development and does not affect growth. Zinc deficiency might cause growth retardation and developmental delay. Another is the environmental factors. The environment is a major factor that plays a crucial role in the development of children, and it represents the overall physical and psychological stimulation they receive. The physical surroundings and the geographical condition of the place the child lives in, his social environment, and relationship with family and peers come under the environmental factors that influence early childhood development in a major way. For example, the safe and secure environment, as well as the loving care of family, contribute positively to children's healthy development. Then lastly, hormones. There are a large number of endocrine glands present inside our body. These glands secrete one or more hormones directly into the bloodstream. These hormones are capable of raising or lowering the activity level of the body or some organs of the body. Hormones are considered to be the growth supporting substance. These hormones play an important role in regulating the process of growth and development. Let's come now to the different stages of human growth and development. Okay, first is the prenatal development, 0 weeks to 9 months. While you may think of human development as something that begins during infancy, the prenatal period is also considered an important part of the developmental process. Prenatal stage is a time of remarkable change that help set the stage for future psychological development. So prenatal development is also called antenatal or antenatal development. It is a process in which a human embryo gestates during pregnancy from fertilization until birth, meaning it all started in gestation that lasts for 270 days or 9 months or up to fetal period. So there are three stages of prenatal development. First is the germinal stage, 0 to 2 week. Then number 2 is embryo stage, 3rd week to 8th week. Then number 3 is fetal stage, 9th week to birth. The illustration shows the stages of prenatal development from germinal stage up to fetal stage. So under germinal stage from 0 to 2 weeks, embryonic 3 to 8 weeks, then fetal 9 weeks up to birth. So during the germinal period, it is all about 14 days in length, lasts from conception to implantation with the zygote, or we call it fertilized eggs, in the lining of the uterus. So during the first week after conception, the zygote divides and multiplies, going from a one-cell structure to 2-cell, then 4 cells, then 8 cells, and so on. So during the germinal stage, the cells necessary for the placenta, umbilical cord, and amniotic fluid will differentiate to form the embryo. And after that, the next stage begins. After conception, the baby begins a period of dramatic change known as the embryonic stage. This stage, the baby is called an embryo. The beginning of the 3rd week after conception marks the start of the embryonic period, a time when the mass of cells become distinct as a human. So the embryonic stage plays an important role in the development of the brain. Approximately 4 weeks after conception, the neural tube forms. This tube will later develop into the central nervous system, including the spinal cord and brain. The neural tube begins to form along with an area known as the neural plate. The earliest sign of development of the neural tube are the emergence of 2 ridges that form along each side of the neural plate. Over the next few days, more ridges form and fold inward until a hollow tube is formed. Once this tube is fully formed, cells begin to form near the center. The tube begins to close in brain vesicles form. These vesicles will eventually develop into parts of the brain, including the structure of the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Around the fourth week, the head begins to form, quickly followed by the eyes, nose, ears, and mouth. The blood vessels that will become the heart start to pulse. So during the fifth week, buds that will form the arms and legs appear. By eighth week of development, the embryo has all of the basic organs in parts except those of the sex organs. At this point, the embryo weighs just 1 gram and is about 1 inch in length. By the end of the embryonic period, the basic structure of the brain and central nervous system have been established. At this point, the basic structure of peripheral nervous system is also defined. Next stage is the fetal stage. Fetal stage is from 4th week up to birth. Once cells differentiation is mostly complete, the embryo enters the next stage and becomes known as a fetus. The fetal period of prenatal development marks more important changes in the brain. These periods of development begins during the 9th week and lasts until birth. This stage is marked by amazing change and growth. The early body system and structures established in the embryonic stage continues to develop into the brain and spinal cord, and neurons continue to form. Once these neurons have formed, they begin to migrate to their correct locations. Synapses, or the connection between neurons, also begin to develop. Between the 9th and 12th week of gestation, reflexes begin to emerge. The fetus begins to make reflexive motion with its arms and legs. So during the 3rd month of gestation, the sex organs begin to differentiate. By the end of the month, all parts of the body will be formed. At this point, the fetus weighs around 3 ounces. The fetus continues to grow in both weight and length, although the majority of the physical growth occurs in the later stages of pregnancy. During the 4th months through 6, the heartbeat grows stronger and other body systems become further developed. Fingernails, hair, eyelashes, and toenails also form. Perhaps most noticeable, the fetus increases about 6 times in size. At around 28 weeks, the brain starts to mature faster, with an activity that greatly resembles that of a sleeping newborn. So during the period from 7 months until birth, the fetus continues to develop, put on weight, and prepare for life outside the womb. The lungs begin to expand and contract, preparing the muscle for breathing. So these are the fetal stages of human development. It shows here how the fetal develop and grow from week 5 up to week 33. The number 2 is the postnatal development. So postnatal development is the process of postnatal growth and development happens together but at different rates. The growth occurs by discontinuous Saltatory starts with a stagnant background. There are 5 significant phases in human growth and development. Under postnatal development. So, there are 5 significant phases in human growth and development. First is the infancy, from neonate and up to 1 year age. Number 2 is toddler, from 1 year old to 3 years of age. The number 3, childhood, 3 to 11 years old. So, under childhood are early childhood and middle childhood. The number 4 is adolescence or teenage, from 12 to 20 years old. The number 5 is adulthood, from 20 and above. So, infancy. Infancy is the first year of life after birth, and an infant is defined as a human being between birth and the first birthday. This is the period of most rapid growth after birth. Growth is even faster during infancy than it is during puberty. By the end of the first year, the average baby is twice as long as it was at birth and 3 times as heavy. They are born with a surprising range of abilities. For example, they have well-developed senses and of touch, hearing, and smell. And they can also communicate their needs by crying and starts playing with their hands and legs. They also develop many other abilities like, for example, by 6 weeks after birth, infants typically start smiling and making vocal sounds, and by 6 months, infants are babbling. They can now pick up objects by pinching them with their hands. They also learn to sit and starting to crawl. The baby's teeth have started to come in, and then by 12 months, infants may be saying their first word like mama and dada. They usually can stand with help and may even have started to walk. Slow development in infant may be sign of Down syndrome and other developmental disabilities. So this is the infancy period. So the age is from birth to 1 year old. The physical development is roll over, crawl, walk, or grasp object. Then the mental development of an infancy is respond to cold, hunger, and pain by crying. Then begin to recognize surroundings and become aware of surrounding and people. The characteristics of infancy are very fast changing phase. Rate of growth is very fast but not as much as prenatal stage. A nutrition-dependent phase. High velocity of growth declines after 1 year. Nervous system develops faster. Then birth weight and length increases, usually doubles weight by 9 months. Then uncoordinated movements. Response to human touch and voice. Poor visions or focusing range 8 to 12 inches. Then reflexes like sucking, grasping, stepping, rooting, or startle. Okay, next is the toddler stage. Toddler is a child's age 2 to 3 years old. Children of this age are learning to walk or toddle. Growth is still relatively rapid during the toddler years, but it has begun to slow down. The phase starts when they are able to walk by themselves, and so they are start developing their environments. Language skills develop significantly in this stage, and they can able to communicate their wishes. They also learn the ability to say no. They also go through emotional development and emotional regulations. They learn to take solid food, and they learn to control the elimination of body waste. So their physical development, a child becomes stronger and start to look longer and leaner. Growth is slower than in infancy. Muscle coordination allows the child to run, climb, or move freely. Their mental development is verbal growth progresses, short attention span at end of stage, ask questions and can recognize letters. A child makes strides in being able to think and reason. They are also learn their letters, counting, and colors. Their emotional and social developments, they gradually learn how to manage their feelings. And language by age 2, most children can say at least 50 words. Their sensory and motor development by age 2, most children can walk upstairs one at a time, kick a ball and draw simple stroke with a pencil. They can also write, draw, use a fork and spoon. These are the characteristics of toddler. First, rate of growth decreases or slows. Then, learning ability which was launched in the first year becomes faster as the child exposed to new environment. Then all the psychomotor skills are enhancing. Muscle coordination allows to run, climb, or move freely. Speech is learned. Toddler recognizes letters and some words, and they have short attention span. Okay, next is the childhood stage. This stage ranges from 3 to 11 years old. The, the muscular and nervous system have developed markedly, and the child is eager to acquire new skills and is no longer content to sit and watch. They move around and examine each environment, but judgment develops more slowly. In this stage, most children can run, climb stairs, and scribble with crayon. They know many words and use simple sentences, and they are also toilet trained. They can draw a person with features and can throw a ball overhand. They are also able to carry a conversation, recognize letters in words, and use a pencil to trace letters and can tie their own shoelaces and may be learning to ride a bicycle, swing a bat, kick a ball, and play other games. By the age of 6 or 7, most children begin losing their baby teeth and their permanent teeth start coming in. They can speak fluently and spend more time with peers and develop friendship. And during this stage, they learn the sex differences and sexual modesty. They are getting ready to school and to learn to read, to write, and counting and so on. They learn to distinguish right and wrong and begin to develop conscience. Another is they learn the physical skills are necessary for ordinary games and building a wholesome attitude toward oneself as a growing organism and learning to get along with age mates. And they begin to develop appropriate masculine or feminine social rules, and they develop concepts necessary for everyday living and actively personal independence. So that is the childhood stage. During the childhood stage, their physical development is slow but steady. Their muscle coordination is well developed, and children can engage in physical activity that require complex motor sensory coordination. Their appearance becomes more slender and proportions more adult-like. And also, their appetite diminishes and sleep problems are common. Handedness appears, like fine and gross motor skills and strength improve. The growth slows, strength and athletic skills improve. Respiratory illnesses are common, but health is generally better than at any other time in lifespan. And their mental development, developing quickly, and much of the child's life centers around school. Reading and writing are learned. Understand abstract concepts like honesty, loyalty, values, and moral. Thinking is somewhat egocentric, but understanding of other people's perspective grows. Their memory and language improve. Their intelligence becomes more predictable. Their attending preschool is common, like kindergarten or more. And their social development, the child exhibits a progressive change from individualization towards socialization. Changes from activities by themselves to more group-oriented. They are more ready to accept the opinions of others and learn to conform to rules and standards of behavior. Their gender identity also develops. Their play becomes more imaginative, more elaborate, and more social. The family is still focused on social life, but other children become more important. Their self-concept becomes more complex, affecting self-esteem. Then the peers assume central importance. The adolescent stage. The adolescent stage, this is the period of transition from childhood to adulthood, which extends from 12 years old to 20. We also call this as teenage stage. It is the time of significant mental change. So during this stage, the individual attains puberty, leading to many changes. These changes have enormous implications for the individual's sexual, social, emotional, and vocational life. We call this period as a period of storm and stress, according to Stanley Hull. These changes make the individual to find an identity, which means developing an understanding of self, the goals one wishes to achieve in the work occupation role. The individual craves for encouragement and support of caretakers and peer groups. In this stage, they achieve new and more mature relations with age mates of both success, and achieving a masculine or feminine social role. And they also like to achieve emotional independence from parents and other adults, and they are preparing for an economic career, marriage, and family life. So during this stage, the adolescents generally develop the ability to think abstractly and try to be more independent from their parents, and typically spending much of their time with peers and also start to develop intimate relationship. When it comes to thinking ability, it is now on a higher level than of children. Children are only able to think logically about the concrete and the here and now, but in the adolescence, they move beyond their limits and can think in terms of what might be true rather than just what they see is true. They are able to deal with abstraction, test hypotheses, and see infinite possibilities. Yet, adolescents still often display egocentric behavior and attitudes. They also developing socially and emotionally. So their physical development is those parts, muscles coordination, slows, development of sexual organs and secondary sexual characteristics or puberty, secretion of sex hormones leads to the onset of menstruation in girls, in the production of sperm and semen in boys, body shape and form changes. The mental development under adolescence, most foundations have been set. Development primarily involves an increase in knowledge and sharpening of skills, learn to make decisions and accept responsibility for action. And the emotional development is often stormy and in conflict. Adolescents try to establish their identities and independence. They respond more and more to peer group influences. And the social developments of adolescents, they spending less time with their family and more time with peer groups. They attempt to develop self-identity and independence and seek maturity from their peers. Toward the ends of the stage, they develop a more mature attitude and develop patterns of behavior that they associate with adult behavior. Okay, next stage is the adulthood. Adulthood is often noted when a person is considered chronologically, legally, and behaviorally ready to hold responsibilities such as operating a motor vehicle, voting, taking the vows of marriage, entering into a contract, and the process of becoming mature does not end with adolescence but continues throughout adulthood as psychological, safety, and self-actualization needs are met. Adulthood is often divided into three categories: young adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. So, during the adulthood, it brings even more challenges and major decisions about the schools, the career, and home life. It also involves physical change, and it's a time of important emotional development. They decide where they want to live, who they want to live, and what type of work they want to do. There are also physical signs of age like they are having wrinkles, gray hair, and sometimes they become bigger with a few extra pounds. They also experience stress from dealing with other children or from other people and taking care of their aging parents. We come now to the early adulthood. So early adulthood is from 20 to 40 years old. The physical development frequently is the most productive life stage. Uh, Physical development is complete. Muscles and coordination are at its peak. Prime childbearing age usually produces healthy babies at the age of 20 to 40 years old. The emotional development, young adults are subjected to many emotional stresses related to career, marriage, family, and etc. Then the social developments, moving away from peer group, and adults tend to associate with others who have similar ambitions. Most find a mate and begin a family. So the cognitive abilities of young adulthood assume more complexity. So the educational and careers choices are also made during the early adulthood. So the personality trait in styles become relatively stable, but changes in personality may be influenced by life stages and events. So the decisions are made about intimate relationship and personal lifestyle. So most people at this time marry and must become parents. Next is the middle adulthood. So the age range from 40 to 65 years old. The physical development, the hair becomes gray and thins, the skin wrinkles, muscle tone decreases, then hearing loss, visual acuity losses, and weight gain and cessation of the menstrual cycle for women, or we call it menopause. Then the mental development can continue to increase confident decision makers and excellent at analyzing situation. Then the emotional development can be a period of contentment and satisfaction. The social development, the family relationship can decline as children begin lives of their own and parents die. The divorce rates are high, and the friendship with other people with similar interests and lifestyle. Then the physical condition during the middle adulthood, uh, the physical condition peaks then declines slightly. The lifestyle choices influence health. Some deterioration of sensory abilities, health, stamina, and skills may take place. Then, most basic mental abilities peak. Expertise and practical problem-solving skills are high. Creative output may decline but improve in quality. For some, career success and earning powers peak. For others, burnout or career change may occur. Some during middle adulthood, the sense of identity continues to develop. Stressful midlife traction may occur. The double responsibilities of caring for children and the caring for elderly parents may cause stress. So that is under the middle adulthood. Okay, next is the late adulthood. Age range from 64 years of age and up. Um, this stage is adjusting to decreasing physical strength and health. Most people are healthy in this stage and active, although health and physical abilities decline somewhat. Slowing of reaction time affects some aspect of functioning. And the physical development on the decline. Skin becomes dry and wrinkles, age spots appear, hair and bone becomes thin, muscle loss tone and strength, memory loss can occur and reasoning ability can diminish. And the mental development varies. People who remain mentally active and are willing to learn new things tend to show fewer signs of decreased mental ability. Although intelligence and memory may deteriorate in some areas, most people find ways to compensate. And the emotional development, emotional stability varies. And the social development, retirement can lead to loss of self-esteem, lost identity, and death of spouse and friends can cause changes in social relationship. So this is the stage of retirement. Retirement from workforce may offer new options for use of their time. So they are also establishing an explicit affiliation with members of one's age group, and they are also establishing satisfactory physical living arrangement. So this is the stage of late adulthood. Okay, that's all. Thank you for listening and watching. Our next reporter is Ma'am Joy B. Pilapil.
Good morning, classmates. Good morning, ma'am. Before I start my report, may I introduce myself? I am Mrs. Joy B. Pilapil. I live in San Jose, Camarines Sur, and currently teaching at San Rafael Agpo Elementary School of Lagunoy South District. My report is about 8 stages of human development by Erik Erikson. First, allow me to give some brief biography about Erik Erikson. Erik Erikson was born on June 15, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. He is a German-American. He died on May 12, 1994 in Massachusetts. He was an ego psychologist. He emphasized the role of culture and society and the conflicts that can take place within the ego itself. He maintained that personality develops in a predetermined order and builds upon each previous stage, that is so-called epigenetic principle. The key components of Erikson's model of human development. If human development is the study of how people change throughout their lives, how and when does this development happen? Many scientists and psychologists have studied various aspects of human development, including Erik Erikson. He examined the impact of social experiences throughout an individual's life and theorized and psychosocial development happens in 8 segmental parts. What are the 8 stages of human development? In this illustration, what have you observed? These are the 8 stages of human development from Erik Erikson, stage 1 to stage 8. So Erikson maintained that personality develops in an predetermined order through 8 stages of psychosocial development, from infancy to adulthood. During each stage, the person experiences a psychosocial crisis which could be positive or negative outcomes for personality development. The first stage is infancy. That is 0 to 12 months, trust versus mistrust. At infancy, the infant loves the smell of his mother's clothes. He is aware that she is his mother and he knows her. His main concern is lactation and nutrition. The infancy stage from 0 to 12 months, here they were completely dependent from their needs like feeding and so on. They can crawl and talk the first word like mama and dada. Basically, they were trying to live in the outside world by trying to use their hands and voice to get the attention of their mother and guardians. At 3 to 4 months, variation can be there in achieving the development milestone. Social development is the cortical function that develops earlier than motor skills. Lack of social smile by 4 weeks is of concern. At birth, infant is equipped with primitive reflexes. Certain primitive reflexes help in the normal physiology of infants. Sucking and rooting reflexes helps in efficient feeding. Most of the primitive reflexes disappears to facilitate the mature development process. For example, the grasp reflexes disappear by 6 months and the child develops mature grasp development from 6 to 12 months. Infants learn to trust based on how well their caregiver meets their basic needs and respond when they cry. If an infant cries out to be fed, the parent can either meet their need by feeding and comforting the infant or not meet their need by ignoring the infant. When their needs are met, infants learn that relying on others is safe. When their needs to unmet, infants grew up to be less trusting. So this is the illustration of infancy psychosocial development or the first stage of psychosocial development. This is consists of psychosocial conflict, that is trust versus mistrust. Major question is, can I trust the people around me? The basic virtue is hope. Important event is feeding. So this is the continuation of the illustration. Says that from the moment a child takes its first breath, it is trying to assimilate all the sights and sounds that met its senses. This is according to Jean Piaget. So this stage begins at birth and lasts until your child is around 18 months old. According to Erik Erikson, it is the most important period of your child's life, as it shapes their view of the world as well as their overall personality. The importance of trust. Babies are almost entirely dependent on their caregivers, so it should come as no surprise that how parents interact with their babies has a profound effect on both their physical and mental health. Erikson believed that early pattern of trust help children build a strong love of trust that's crucial for their social and emotional development. If a child successfully develops trust, they will feel safe and secure in the world. You are essentially shaping their personality and determining how they will view the world. And children who learn to trust caregivers in infancy will be more likely to form trusting relationship with others throughout the course of their lives. So trust, believing on caregivers, trusting the world is safe and knowing that needs will be met. So, mistrust or distrusting caregivers, fearing the world, and unsure that needs will be met. How to build trust? The primary way you can build trust with your baby is to respond when they try to communicate with you. Because babies can't use words to express themselves. They use nonverbal strategies to communicate what they're thinking and feeling at all times. Crying is one of the most common strategies babies use to communicate with their caregivers, and it carries different meanings. Usually, babies cry to let you know that they need one of the following. Number one, affection. Erikson believed that an infant's cries communicated an important message to caregivers. Such cries indicate an unmet need, and it is up to caregivers to determine how to fulfill that need. Number two, comfort. It is important for caregivers to provide comfort to an infant by holding them closely and securely. They provide both warmth and physical contact. Feeding, bathing, and comforting your child helps them learn to trust that their needs will be met. Number three, food. Erikson also believed that feeding played a pivotal role in the development of trust. By feeding an infant when the child is hungry, they learn that they can trust their need for nourishment will be met. Every baby communicates differently. So, becoming familiar with your baby's communication style is the key to success at this stage. Noticing and responding to these signals, whether they are cries, body movements, cues, or even words, helps them learn to trust the world around them. So learning to trust the world and those around us is the key focus of this psychosocial stage of development. By responding quickly and appropriately to your infant's cries, you're building a foundation of trust. Here are the importance of trust and the consequences of mistrust. Under trust, children are approachable, jolly, friendly, trustworthy, or trusting. While on the mistrust, the consequences are poor social support, isolation, and loneliness. Number two stage, toddlerhood, autonomy versus shame. When we say toddler, a young child who is just beginning to walk, or babies between ages of 1 to 3 are called toddlers. This stage takes place between the ages of 18 months and 3 years and involve gaining a sense of independence and personal control. Success in this stage allows people to develop will and determination. When we say autonomy, willful exploration and sense of independence, and it's a notable feature of the toddler years. So in addition to autonomy versus shame and doubt, another way to think of the second stage is independence versus dependence. So toddlers go through this stage responding to their caregivers. If caregivers encourage them to independent and explore the world on their own, toddler will grow up with a sense of self-efficacy. If the caregivers have excessively or encouraged dependence, these toddlers grow up with less confidence in their abilities. The second stage of psychosocial development, we have psychosocial conflict, autonomy versus shame. Major questions: can I do things myself or am I reliant to the help of others? The basic virtue, will. Important events are toilet training, food choices, toy and cloth preference. Children who successfully complete this stage feel secure and confident, while those who do not are left with a sense of inadequacy and self-doubt. The third stage of human development is early childhood or preschool years. This is from 3 to 5 years old. Initiative versus guilt. When we say early childhood, it is a stage of human development. It generally includes toddlerhood and some time afterwards. Toddlerhood play age is an unspecific designation approximately within the scope of early childhood. It comprises a number of stages marked by development milestone. Hence, we define early childhood as the period from birth to age 8, although we also recognize the importance of quality prenatal care in early childhood outcome. This is where the show starts and the child starts learning and starting to learn numbers, shapes, and observe visual cues and form his speech and writing and rapport. Children learn to assert themselves and speak up when they need something. Some children may state that they are sad because a friend stole their toy. If this assertiveness is greeted with a positive reaction, they learn that taking initiative is helpful behavior. However, if they're made to feel guilty or ashamed for their assertiveness, they may grow up to be timid and less likely to take the lead. The third stage of human development or psychosocial development consists of question, basic virtue, important event. Under questions, am I good or bad? Basic virtue, purpose, important event, safe exploration. The major theme of this third stage of psychosocial development is that children need to begin asserting control and power over the environment. Success in this stage leads to a sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. The fourth stage of human development, we have middle childhood or early school years. What is the meaning of middle childhood? Middle childhood, usually defined as ages 6 to 12, is a time when children develop foundational skills for building healthy social relationships and learn roles that will prepare them for adolescence and adulthood. So in this stage, where the child learns deeper, observe and know things, learn science and math and calculation. He forms his logic and conception and is aware of his rapport with others. Build a self-defense mechanism and his character start to take form. When children begin school, they start to compare themselves with peers. If children feel they're accomplished in relation to peers, they develop strong self-esteem. If, however, they notice that other children have met milestones that they haven't, they may struggle with self-esteem. The fourth stage consists of the following questions: basic virtue and important event. Under questions, how can I be good? Basic virtue is competence. The important event is school. In this stage, children who are encouraged and commended by parents and teachers develop a feeling of competence and believe in their skills. Those who receive little or no encouragement from parents, teachers, or peers will doubt their abilities to be successful. So that ends my report from stage 1 to stage 4. The following stages will be discussed by Ma'am Anita A. Pitesa. Thank you, classmates, for listening, for watching. Have a good day. Thank you so much and God bless.
Again, good morning everyone, especially to our professor, Mrs. Nerissa Malco Beatres. Before I begin to my topic, let me first introduce myself. My name is Anita A. Pitesa, presently teaching at San Rafael Agpo Elementary School, Lagunoy South District. My topic for today is all about adolescence. This is the fifth stage of Erikson theory. Adolescence is the identity versus role confusion. In this stage, this is the age of 12 to 19. Adolescence is derived from the Latin word adolescere, meaning to grow into maturing. Adolescence is the period of transition between childhood and adulthood. Children who are entering adolescence are going through many changes, like physical, intellectual, personality, and social development. The World Health Organization defines adolescence as any person between the age of 10 to 19. So according to Erik Erikson, adolescence refers to identity versus role confusion. This is the stage of adolescence where the term identity crisis originated, and for good reason. This stage occurs during adolescence between the age of approximately 12 and 18. During this stage, adolescents explore their independence and develop a sense of self. According again to Erikson, people progress through a series of stages as they grow and change throughout life. During its stage, people face a developmental conflict that must be resolved to successfully develop the primary virtue of that stage. He or she was interested in how social interaction and relationships affect development and growth. What is identity? Erikson defines identity as a fundamental organizing principle which develops constantly throughout the lifespan. Identity involves the experiences, relationships, beliefs, values, and memories that make up a person's subjective sense of self. These help create a continuous self-image that remains fairly constant even as new aspects of the self are developed or strengthened over time. Identity provides the following: self-sameness. This is a sense of continuity within the self and in interaction with others. Uniqueness, a frame of differentiate between self and interaction with others. Psychological development. This is mental and physical health for adolescents. During identity versus confusion stage, the conflict is centered on developing a personal identity. Successfully completing the stage leads to a strong sense of self that will remain throughout life. Factors that contribute to a person form a strong identity. A teen's identity is the result of various internal and external factors. These factors are friends, family and loved ones, schoolmates, other social groups, societal trends, ethnic identity, location and opportunities, media, personal interest, appearance and expression, life experience, pop culture, and so on. Benefits of identity. There are numerous benefits behind shaping and forming an identity. Number one is commitment. Resolving the crisis of this stage of development involves committing to a particular identity. This might involve committing to a career path, deciding what social groups to associate with, and even developing a sense of personal style. Number two, self-confidence. Those who are able to develop a strong sense of identity are better able to have self-confidence or a sense of trust in their abilities, qualities, and judgment. Number three, sense of independence. Those who are receive proper encouragement and reinforcement through personal exploration will emerge from this stage with a strong sense of self and a feeling of independence and control. Those who remain unsure of their beliefs and desire will remain insecure and confused about themselves and the future. Number four is fidelity. Those who are successful develop fidelity, a psychological virtue characterized by the ability to relate to others and form genuine relationships. This ability plays an important role in upcoming stage known as intimacy versus isolation. How to strengthen identity. Thinking about what your values are helps solidify your identity. Core values are those things that are really important and meaningful to you and that motivate you and guide your decisions. Spend time alone to get to know yourself better. Those quiet moments can help you focus on your priorities and improve your sense of self. Learn to practice self-compassion, which can help you better understand and accept your flaws and limitations. Become skilled at things you enjoy. Taking time to find and practice hobbies can help you get greater acquainted with yourself. What is role confusion? It is being unsure of who you are and where you fit. Role confusion is a state of uncertainty about a given social or group role. Role confusion is a gender role behavior in a male or female that is traditionally associated with the opposite sex. Example of role confusion: being unsure of who you are and where you fit, drifting from one job or relationship to another, feeling disappointed and confused about your place in life. When an adolescent has been unable to manage an accomplishment, role confusion occurs. So, with role confusion, the individual experiences extreme doubt regarding the meaning and purpose of their existence, leading to a sense of loss and confusion. Consequences of role confusion. Role confusion can have lasting consequences on a person's life, including: number one, difficulties with commitment. A stable personal identity allows individual to have better relationship with others. Number two, worse mental health and well-being. Research has linked a strong sense of identity to better emotional and psychological well-being in adolescents. Number three, weak sense of self. Role confusion has been found to lead to a weak sense of self. And number four, lack of confidence. A lack of self-identity can make it difficult for a people to have confidence in themselves and their abilities. How to decrease role confusion? If you're feeling confused about who you are and your role in life, there are steps you can take to decrease for role confusion. Number one, build on your strength. Identify the areas in your life in which you excel and take time to develop and build on those strengths. Number two, try new things to discover what you like. Think about your passion and interest. Brainstorm some ideas around things that excite you. Number three, make commitments and set goals. While you can set goals in any part of your life, consider the thinking about some common areas like health, career, finances, and education. Number four, participate in activities that are related to your interests. Whether church, events, or club for sports, take the initiative to become part of something that interests you. The sixth stage of Erikson theory is young adulthood. According to Erikson, this is the stage of intimacy versus isolation. People begin to solidify their lifelong bonds. Many people enter committed relationship or marriage, while others form lifelong friendship. People who can create and maintain these relationships reap the emotional benefits, while those who struggle to maintain relationships may suffer from isolation. Meaning, success means to have healthy, fulfilling relationships. Failure means experiencing loneliness or isolation. What is intimacy? Intimacy is to develop close, committed relationship with other people. These emotionally intimate relationships play a critical role in person's emotional well-being. While the word intimacy is closely associated with sex for many, it encompasses with much more than that. Erickson described intimate relationships as those characterized by closeness, honesty, and love. Romantic and sexual relationships can be important part of this stage of life, but intimacy is more about having close, loving relationships. It includes romantic partners, but it can also encompass close, enduring friendship with people outside your family. So, intimacy refers to one's ability to relate to another human being on a deep personal level. While the word intimacy is closely associated with sex for many, it encompasses much more than that. Erickson described intimate relationships as those characterized by closeness, honesty, and love. Benefits of intimacy. Benefits of intimacy are: number one, close romantic relationships, deep, meaningful connections, enduring connection with other people, positive relationships with family and friends, strong relationships. People who are successful in resolving the conflict of the intimacy versus isolation have these benefits of intimacy. People who navigate this period of life successfully are able to forge fulfilling relationships with other people. This plays an important role in creating supportive social networks that are important for both physical and mental health throughout lives. Factors that may increase your risk of becoming lonely or isolated. Childhood experience including neglect or abuse, divorce or death of a partner, fear of commitment, fear of intimacy, and ability to open up, past relationships, troubles with self-disclosure. Consequences of isolation: few or no friendship, lack of intimacy, lack of relationships, weak social support. How to overcome isolation. Number one, avoid negative self-talk. Focus on replacing negative thoughts with more realistic ones. Number two, build skills. Try practicing your skills in different situations each day. Number three, determine what you like. Know your interests and then engage in activities around those interests in one way to build lasting friendship. Number four, evaluate your situation. Figuring out what you are looking for and a partner or friend can help determine how you should go about looking for new relationships. Number five, practice self-disclosure. Consider things you would be willing to share about yourself with others, then practice. Such as marriage, work, and child rearing can occur at any point during the broad span of middle adulthood. What is generativity? Generativity refers to making your mark on the world by caring for others, as well as through creating and accomplishing things that make the world a better place. Key characteristics of generativity includes: number 1, developing relationships with family. Number 2, making commitments to other people. Number 3, mentoring others. Number 4, contributing to the next generation. These sorts of action are frequently realized through having and raising children. Those who are successful during this phase feel that they are contributing to the world by being active in their home and community. How to improve generativity? There are numerous things that people can do to improve their feelings of generativity versus feelings of stagnation. Number 1, participate in your community. You have to look for ways to get involved in our community. Help out an organization, take part in community projects, or get involved in local activism. Number 2, assume responsibilities. Feeling productive in your work can help improve generativity. Look for new ways to take on a new task and roles. Take on a big project at work or explore ways to improve some aspect of your household. Number 3, learn new skills and share them with others. Take time to learn a new skills, then share these skills with others via a teaching or mentoring opportunity. Number 4, volunteer. Making a difference in the lives of others can build generativity as well. Your child's school, your church, and community organization are a good place to look for volunteer opportunity. Factors that can contribute to the development of either generativity or stagnation. Number 1, pride in work and family. This centered on the sense of pride that adults take in their family and children. Pride can occur through parenting, although not all people who produce offspring become supportive and giving people. Number 2, feeling included. Feeling part of something, whether it is family unit or a larger group or community, is essential for development of generativity. This centers on the scope of caregiving activities on what and who an individual is willing to include in their life. Research indicates that participating in social organization can assist with developing generativity by providing feelings of inclusion. These reflect the trust versus mistrust of early childhood. Number 3, taking responsibility. These factors reflect the initiative versus guilt stage seen earlier during childhood. People who take responsibility are more likely to feel empowered and in control of their lives and destiny. This helps lead to a sense of making a contribution to the world. Number 4, feeling productive. These factors mirror the industry versus inferiority stage of childhood. In this stage, work plays a major role in adulthood. So it's no surprise that an individual's sense of pride and accomplishment in their work can lead to feelings of productivity. Number 5, making contributions. In this stage, people reach point where they are beginning to reflect back on their lives and accomplishment, making it important to feel that these achievements have left lasting mark on the world. What is stagnation? Stagnation refers to the failure to find a way to contribute. Stagnant individuals may feel disconnected or uninvolved with their community or with society as a whole. Characteristics of stagnation. Number 1, being self-centered. Number 2, failing to get involved with others. Number 3, not taking an interest in productivity. Number 4, no efforts to improve the self. Number 5, placing one's concern above all else. Those who fail to attain the generativity skill feel unproductive and uninvolved with the world. Consequences of stagnation. When people fail to achieve generativity, they instead develop a sense of stagnation. So, here are some of the potential outcomes linked to stagnation. Number 1, reduced cognitive function. Less successful psychosocial development at this stage is correlated with weaker cognitive function later in life, potentially through increasing the risk of depression, which leave individuals more vulnerable to cognitive decline. Number 2, poorer health relationships. Generativity has been linked to health outcomes in later life, so those who are left with a sense of stagnation may face worse health as they age. Number 3, lower quality relationship. The development of generativity is linked to healthy relationships with others. Stagnation may be the result of poor quality social connections. This can be a problem as people to get older since social relationships play an important part in healthy aging. Number 4, decreased life satisfaction. People who don't achieve a sense of generativity are less likely to feel satisfied with their lives. They may look at their lives with regret, a sense of boredom, and overall dissatisfaction. It is at this point in life that some people might experience what is often referred to as a middle crisis. They may reflect back on their accomplishment, consider their future trajectory, and regret missed opportunities such as going to school, pursuing a career, or having children. It is important to note that it is the way that people interpret these regrets that influence their well-being. Those who feel that they have made mistakes, wasted their time, and have no time to make changes may be left feeling bitter. But others might use this crisis as an opportunity to make adjustments in their lives that will lead to greater fulfillment. How to decrease stagnation? Those who suffer from poor health, poor relationship, and feel that they have no control over their fate are more likely to experience feeling of stagnation. There are things that you can do to feel more productive and involved if you are feeling those ways. Number 1, explore a new hobby. Finding a new passion is a great way to feel more creative and inspired. Number 2, learn something new. Acquiring and then applying new skills can help you feel more productive. Number 3, find new sources of inspiration. Seek out things that help you feel inspired when you are feeling stagnant. You can then use these sources as a way to build motivation to tackle new things. Number 4, look for new opportunities. It is important to look for new ways to feel challenged, useful, and productive even if you have become settled in your role at work or at home. Finding ways to combat stagnation can help you stay more active, engaged, and satisfied with your life as you age. The next stage is late adulthood. This is integrity versus despair. This is the stage where people focus on serenity, contemplation, circumambulation, and rituals. They just try to follow God's orders and try to treat others better. They become more humble in their dealings and notice their facades, and they make charities, and some people just travel and try to spend the rest of their life in a peaceful place. It is the stage where people are eager to read the life story and know the whole documentary this person achieved. As adults reach the end of life, they look back on their lives and reflect. Adults who feel fulfilled by their lives, either through a successful family or a meaningful career, reach ego integrity, in which they can face aging and dying with peace. If older adults don't feel that they live a good life, they risk falling into despair. So, the key conflict centers on questioning whether or not the individual has led a meaningful, satisfying life. What are integrity and despair? Integrity refers to a person's ability to look back on their life with a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment, while despair refers to looking back on life with feelings of regret, shame, or disappointment. Characteristics of integrity. Number one, acceptance. Number two, a sense of wholeness. Number three, lack of regrets. Number four, feeling at peace. Number five, a sense of success. And number six, feelings of wisdom and acceptance. Characteristics of despair. Number one is bitterness. Number two, regret. Number three, ruminating over mistakes. Number four, feeling that life was wasted. Number five, feeling unproductive. Number six, depression. Number seven, hopelessness. The integrity versus despair stage begin as the aging adult begins to tackle the problem of his or her morality. The onset of this stage is often triggered by life events such as retirement, the loss of a spouse, the loss of friends and acquaintance, facing a terminal illness, and other changes to major role in life. Benefits of integrity. There are a number of benefits to successfully achieving feelings of integrity at this stage of life. Number one is ego integrity. Ego integrity, successfully resolving the crisis at this stage, leads to development. Number two, peace and fulfillment. Peace and fulfillment, people are able to look back at their life with a sense of contentment and face at the end of life with a sense of wisdom and no regrets. Number three, wisdom. Wisdom, Erickson defined as wisdom as uninformed and detached concern with life itself, even in the face of death itself. Those who feel proud of their accomplishment will feel a sense of integrity. Successfully completing this phase means looking back with few regrets and a general feeling of satisfaction. These individuals will attain wisdom even when confronting death. Factors that can influence in the integrity versus despair. Family. Family having supportive relationship is an important aspect of the development of integrity and wisdom. Number two, work. People who feel a sense of pride in their work and accomplishment are more likely to experience feelings of fulfillment at this stage of life. Number three, contributions. Those who reach this stage feeling that they have made a valuable contribution to the world are more likely to achieve a sense of integrity. This often involves contributing to things that will outlast them through their children, friendship, mentorships, work, or community involvement. How to improve integrity. Things that you can do to help develop a greater sense of ego integrity as you age. Number one is start early. The things that you do during middle age will play a role in your feelings about life as you age. Focus on doing things that will support your emotional wellness as you grow older, such as getting involved in your community and strengthening relationships to ensure you have a strong social support network. Number two, seek meaningful relationships. High-quality relationships with people you care about and who care about you are important. Focus on those relationships and work on making peace with relationships that may not be as strong. Number three, reframe your thinking. Rather than, rather than ruminating over regrets or wishing you can change the past, focus on reframing how you think about those events. For example, you might focus on what you learned from those experiences rather than dwelling on what you wish you could do differently. Number four, practice gratitude. Focus on positive aspects of your life rather than paying excessive attention to the negative. Consequences of despair. Despair can have serious consequences for a person's health as well-being as they face the end of life. Some of the consequences of despair include: number one, increased depressive symptoms. Feelings of despair at this stage of life can be marked by feelings of low mood, hopelessness, sadness, and feelings of worthlessness, which are also symptoms of depression. Number two, increased regret. People who look back on their life with despair are more likely to ruminate over mistakes and feel regret for the life they have lived. Number three, decreased life satisfaction. When people feel despair at this stage, they are also less likely to feel satisfied with their lives going forward. This can have an effect on their ability to cope with stress and decrease their resilience. Those who are unsuccessful during this phase will feel that their life has been wasted and will experience many regrets. The individual will be left with feeling of bitterness and despair. How to decrease despair? There are steps that you can take to improve your well-being. Some of the steps you can take are: number one, reach out to others. Focus on building social support. Discussing your feelings with friends and family can help, or look for new connection by participating in community groups or organizations. Number two, focus on the positive. Think about the memories and events that brought you feeling of pride and happiness. Number three, explore new experiences. Seek out activities that bring you pleasure and joy in the here and now. Number four, engage in spiritual practice. Find ways to explore your spirituality, which may help bring feelings of peace and well-being. Number five, get help. If you continue to struggle with feelings of despair, consider talking to your doctor or mental health professional. You may be experiencing symptoms of condition such as depression or anxiety. Your doctor can recommend treatment that will help. According to Erickson, Individuals don't experience integrity or despair all the time. Instead, most healthy individuals experience a balance between each day as they begin to make sense of their lives. Okay, on this chart, you will see the Erickson psychosocial stages summary chart from infancy, early childhood, preschool, school age, adolescence, young adult, middle adulthood, and maturity. Okay, now let's go to dimension of human development. Number one dimension of human development is physical development. Physical development refers to the growth and development of body parts to make the body have an ability to perform certain function for certain skills. Physical development includes the large muscle movements as well as the small movements. It involves the changes in the body, brain, motor skills, senses, and the wellness of an individual. Childhood is the period when most of the physical development takes place. When a child goes through physical development, they gain self-confidence, which boosts their emotional and social development. Number two, cognitive development or mental development. Cognitive or mental development refers to the way individuals think, explore, and observe the things around them. It involves the development of knowledge, disposition, and problem-solving skills, which helps them to get a better understanding of the world around them. Cognitive development includes brain development. The two main theories of cognitive development are Piaget and Gotsky agreed that the acquisition of speech is responsible for the active construction of knowledge in children. Jean Piaget is referred to as the father of cognitive development. Number three is emotional development. Emotional development refers to the development of expression, experience, understanding, and controlling of emotion. The first emotion developed during childhood are joy, fear, sadness, and anger. Children start developing more complex emotions such as shame, guilt, elation, pride, surprise, empathy, and shyness when they develop a sense of self. Emotional development allows individuals to develop self-awareness, relationship skills, decision-making skills, and social skills. Next is social development. Social development means the improvement of the well-being of an individual in the society in order to enable them to be aware of their potential and enhance them. Investment in people can be termed as social development. Social development in child development includes their capability to organize their behavior and interact with others. It is the process through which a child acquires the culture and language of the community he or she is raised in. The last one is spiritual development. The spiritual development refers to the improvement of an individual's well-being from within. It refers to the process of awakening of the inner being. It refers to the questioning the purpose and meaning of life, and it does not concern a person's religious belief. It deals with the concept of life, death, identity, suffering, and the like. These dimensions are extremely important for the proper development of every individual, and it is important to ensure that all these five dimensions are given attention. As the saying says, all human life at every stage of its development is worthy of protection, by Marco Rubio. Loading na ba yan? Okay, thank you very much. This is Mrs. Anita Petesa, the reporter, and my co-reporter are Ma'am Josephine R. Sanchez and Ma'am Joy Pilapil. Thank you very much.